Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to another Friday with me, your host, Rooster Guerilla, bringing you the top news you want to hear. Everything from San Diego news to national news and everything in between. You're getting it here every Friday with me. So if you like what you're getting, again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment below. Helps me tickle the algorithm. But again, I always say, if you're following me this far ahead, my appreciation can't go out there to you enough. I really, really sincerely mean that. Anybody watching me and anything I have to say brings me joy. So we'll get right into it. Got a lot to cover today, so we'll get right into it. But I like to cover the trainers here in San Diego because I think, again, we are the mecca for training across the United States. So if you got specialties that you want to work on or come check out, San Diego's got you covered. And none other than our own Matt here with West Coast Kinetic Solutions. You'll see it right here in the video. This is a great way to get training. Check this out.
Training some of the most capable teams in the world. Now, I've taken that special operations experience and tailored it for civilians and law enforcement, giving you training you won't find anywhere else in the world. Whether you're a first-time gun owner or experienced shooter, my mission is simple: build your foundation.
Again, like I said, you can get great training there. They have a subscription that you can dive into for $50 a month. It gets you a free class, free CCW renewals. But yeah, definitely worth checking out West Coast Kinetic Solutions. If you haven't heard of them before, you have now. So go ahead, check out that link, and we'll get you squared away. Tech news. I don't know if you guys have seen this one, but DJI drones in cars. Interesting. So BYD's new SUV comes with a drone on the roof. The all-terrain beast includes a DJI Air 3 drone, advanced driver assistance with a 501-kilometer range. It costs about $18,320. So if you want to get your electric vehicle equipped with a DJI Air 3, then this is the car for you. And it's worth noting that in China, where these cars are sold, Tesla sales are going down. It's interesting that more and more cars becoming equipped with technology like this sends somewhat of a message that maybe the American market is behind. I don't know, but definitely something worth looking into if you want a drone in your car. In other news, so this one's I thought was interesting. So researchers developed a bird robot that jumps to propel itself and fly. So again, proof that birds aren't real. They're all robots, and this is basically them showing you that that's pretty much true. They're touted as being able to traverse many different terrains, land, take off in very tight quarters. So this design here, which mimics natural bird flight, is something that I think researchers are trying to adapt to drone technology for lots of purposes: search and rescue, surveillance, and all those things like that. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. Moving into local news. So this one came up this week, and there's a number of reasons why I thought it was interesting. But first, we got people that are following ICE agents around. They're obviously using the apps that were designed for notifying folks when ICE is in the area. So it looks like when that is there, people are going to the location and then tailing or following the ICE vehicles that are in that area. A couple things here. One, it's dangerous. You could be cited for interfering with law enforcement in their capacity of their legal duties. That's one thing. I don't know what federal charges are for that, but definitely something that could get you a hefty fine, if not federal prison time, probably up to a year. Also, it's interesting because you see how these local networks develop and pass information. Obviously, this is social media here, but you're seeing real-time human networks develop and track, ICE agents in the area. So, thought that was interesting because it's an organic effort, but there is some organization behind for instance, the apps that are used to notify that ICE is in the area. But now we're getting folks that are actually going to the site and tailing the agents. In this case, they're saying they're running them out of the area, but it's interesting because you're seeing exactly what's going on there on the ground. So something to keep in your back pocket when there's federal agents in the area, and people are out tailing these agents to see what they're up to. This definitely reflects, local human efforts to collect information. Wherever the politics are, it doesn't matter, but you're seeing sort of real world application of localized human network creation right here. So I think that stuff's interesting because it just is. All right. So I don't know if you guys saw this one, but San Diego police increased enforcement on RV parking around Mission Bay. I went through there a couple weeks ago, and it was pretty bad. You got a lot of RVs that look like they were meant for dumping, but they're parked up with their generators running 24/7 there at Mission Bay. So it looks kind of trashy. Just from my view, it's definitely something you don't want for a city that bases a large portion of its economy on tourism, especially there in Mission Bay. So it looks like the city's trying to balance not only the homelessness issue, but also people coming in for tourism, because again, that is a huge sector of the San Diego economy. If you got an RV and you're out there parking in Mission Bay, if you're leaving it there overnight, you're facing some pretty heavy fines there. Overnight parking near Mission Bay, they issued hundreds of tickets in July. This crackdown follows the opening of the H Barracks safe parking area, which provides a legal place for people living in their vehicles to stay, while some residents report fewer RVs in the area. Many are still parked nearby, and those living in them say the new rules make life harder for them. The city again says it's trying to balance public access to beach areas with support for the homeless. Anyway, thought that was interesting. If you haven't been to San Diego in a while, if you've been down to Mission Bay, you'll see that there's a ton of vehicles there with ACs sticking out of the back of them, people's laundry hanging over lines. Tends to block traffic sometimes if they're out there working on their generators. It's unsightly. There's some room for compassion. All right, this video came up this week, and I thought this was interesting. In La Mesa, somebody reported this as an attempted robbery. I don't know. Check out the video for yourself here. Two folks were coming home from somewhere, going somewhere in La Mesa, and approached a vehicle with its flashers on. Attempted to get around the vehicle, and then was struck by a rock as they drove away. What's not clear here in this image is the tactics that reportedly are being used here is to stop the vehicle for potential carjacking. That's not out of the realm of possibility. I didn't see the vehicle behind it, but if you were seeing in the rear view or in the rear dash cam, they show there's a vehicle behind there. So could be coordinated tactics to procure a vehicle through carjacking. I'm not sure why the rock was thrown. All this to say, it could just be somebody upset that they didn't stop to help while they were blocking traffic. I don't know. Be mindful as you're traveling areas in San Diego after dark. Stuff like this seems to be occurring more often. Okay, moving into national news. I don't know if you guys saw this one this week, but Jinshaw Patrick Wei, I think that's how you pronounce it, 25-year-old active duty U.S. Navy sailor, has been found guilty of espionage for allegedly providing China with sensitive information. So I bring this up and I highlight this one because I was in the Navy and I see a lot of foreign nationals. We had a lot of folks that English was their second language serving in the Navy, in my case, that were around or operating on some pretty sophisticated and sensitive equipment. It's not out of the realm of possibility for foreign nationals, namely Chinese foreign nationals, to fully enlist in the United States military as citizens of the United States, to join the military, to be around this equipment, to provide it back to Chinese agents or Chinese foreign nationals, diplomats, or however they're getting this information through. But I find that interesting because you see this more and more pop up. And as we've covered in the past with training, like some of the trainers in the area, you'll have this concern where you'll have foreign nationals come into your classes, in this case the military, to secure information to pass back to Chinese nationals. So it's not all that uncommon anymore. In fact, I think it's becoming more and more common. But just be vigilant. If you're active duty and your friend Patrick has a hard time with English, but at the same time really wants to know about that unmanned vehicle, or in this case, tactics to employ those unmanned vehicles, there's caveats of classifications that are strict on known foreign nationals, things like that. And it's a hard thing to practice if this is an active duty sailor with a clearance. A lot of them will get a clearance and will go through the process like anybody else. But in the same token, will be working as a dual agent, basically, to report information back to China, back home. Some of them by mandate, some of them through coercion. But just be mindful of this stuff when you are a sailor or a active duty service member and you're operating around equipment that's sensitive and classified, and your friend here, Patrick, in this case, really, like I said, really wants to know more about that equipment. Ask yourself this: these occurrences where we're having a lot of people being picked up for espionage, just, hey, Chief, I had some concerns I wanted to share with you. Maybe you can help, and I think you follow. National Guard troops, on that note, are been deployed to cities across the country. I think DC right now, but are being talked about for this quick reaction force to be deployed across the United States. But I thought it was interesting here. You're seeing footage here that came out showing the National Guard troops picking up trash. But I don't know, if you were a National Guardsman that lived in Virginia and you got activated under Title 51 or Title 10, whatever orders, and you're out there with a trash bag doing sweepers or whatever they call it. I'm Navy, so whatever you guys call it in the other services, field day or something stupid like that. I don't know, but Navy, we do sweepers. This is what they're doing. They're out there picking up trash. They're cleaning up the city. Literally. I don't know. What do you think? Put in the comments below. What do you think? The National Guard out there cleaning up the city is a good thing? Waste of time? Waste of tax money? Is it just a show of force? Is it something that we need to see more of in our communities or less of in our communities? I find it interesting that we got more federal presence than ever before in our local communities. Obviously, some will say that that's due to the lack of law and order for many of the cities that these National Guard troops are being deployed to. However, there's a caveat to that, like I said in the previous videos, that when there's a federal presence or a federal reaction, it's worth noting because, it may be something that you agree with now. The same tools can be applied with something that you disagree with in the future. So all that to say is be objective when you're looking at politics, or at least in this case, the outcome of politics. Elections do matter. They do have consequences. And as you're seeing now, National Guard troops are deploying to your cities. I saw this one this week. I don't know how important it is for our local area here, but again, like I said, Navy. I saw a fire in Mayport, so the USS Kearney DDG 64 had a fire. But what made this one interesting is there's actually sailors injured. I think there was 3 people taken to the hospital with injuries. I'm not sure the severity of the injuries, but that's pretty significant. I mean, it's common. Fires are not uncommon on Navy ships. They're, we saw with the, here in San Diego most recently, the Bonhomme Richard. When we have sailor injuries, those are things that I take note of because in today's, Navy, modern Navy, a lot of the sailors will go through their damage control training, advanced damage control training, and they fight the fires from inside the skin of the ship. In this case, they were partnered up with firefighting agencies there in Mayport, and it looks like the sailors that were injured were taken to a nearby hospital in Jacksonville. So anyway, I just want to point out that being in the Navy is dangerous. It doesn't have to always involve gunfights. Sometimes it could be a fire that ruins your day. All right, moving on. So we've been covering a lot of the cartel activity. I don't know, people probably saw Ed Calderon on Rogan recently, which I recommend if you haven't followed any of the cartel stuff. Maybe watching that podcast will kind of get you caught up. Basically kind of showing the fragmentation of the Sinaloa cartel and kind of the vacuum that's left in terms of the power in Mexico. And we got the new generation, as it says in the name, the CJ&J cartels are kind of picking up where there's vacuums. Not to say that there's a lot of other cartels. There's battles going on right now for turf and territory in the area and the trafficking game. CJ&G cartel members seen engaged in heavy fighting in Michoacan, Mexico. Members of the CJ&G Drone Operator Corps are seen supporting efforts, some even with their blue armbands like those seen in the Ukraine. So validating kind of what we reported before with cartels sending folks over to Ukraine to participate in the front lines, but they're just there to get training on drone operations and tactics. Obviously, you see here with the blue armband, some of them, it seems like they're just getting back off their flights. Just wanted to share this because the knowledge of contemporary warfighting that's being shown or crafted in the Eastern European theater is finding its way here south of the border. Be mindful of that stuff as law enforcement and Homeland Security agents that are there at the border countering some of this stuff now. So it's definitely the modern era for 5th generation warfare. And drones are a big piece of that. And you're seeing that there's a huge push to get the level of knowledge and the tactical, practical application of drone employment here in the southern borders, namely for the cartels operating there to protect our trade. The heavy fighting is an interesting thing too, because a lot of these cartels now, I think the CJNG is a prime example of this, are outfitting their vehicles with heavy armor, because the 50 cals are the name of the game down there. So they'll get deployed to these areas in Mexico to be tank operators with these armored vehicles and 50 cals to basically kind of lay waste to the opposing cartel force. Drones are going to be a big piece of that. A, because they're inexpensive. B, because they're very effective, as we're seeing in the Eastern European theater. All right, carrying on with the CJNG. CJNG members somewhere in Mexico carrying drone inhibitor Skyfend Hunter, a model which previously was already spotted in the hands of the M2MF faction and also in Mexican security agencies. Common drone RF signals. Okay, so what this is talking about here is this drone inhibitor, this Skyfin that we've seen kind of pop up on social media where they're holding this giant wonky looking gun thing but it's a jammer. I feel sorry for the person that has to be the jammer because we're talking about microwaves at high power and it's right there probably by your face. So I don't know what the disability is for the CJNG. You might want to look into that later if you're popping up with different types of cancers. So anyway, all that to say is this drone jammer has been seen and proliferated around the areas where we're seeing a high conflict using drones. And this is no different here. I don't know. It goes to show that jamming's still effective. It's a kinetic response to drones operating on frequencies. But again, this is why we're seeing fiber optics really play a huge role in the evolution of drone employment. There's no jamming to do with a fiber optic line. But in this case, this jammer is meant to jam GPS, GLONASS, I want to say Galileo, like all the frequencies. And like I said, it's just shooting high-powered microwaves at basically down in azimuth. And that's going to take down whatever's flying there under whatever RF frequency, if there's enough power. So I thought that was interesting. You're starting to see more and more of this counter-drone technology pop up. And the southern border's no exception. Okay, I wanted to show this here last week because I'm really getting a kick out of all these unmanned vessel bombs. I like the style where we've taken the Al-Qaeda approach to maritime bombings, and we're just taking drone technology and kind of marrying the two. But anyway, got the new unmanned boat, the Barracuda. It has been released by the forces of the 40th Marine Infantry Brigade of the Ukrainian Navy. The drone can reportedly be equipped with 2 or 4 anti-tank rocket grenade launchers. It can also be used for long-range mine clearance. So it's pretty cool that you're starting to see more and more of this stuff. The innovation of the battlefield will always drive the tactics. And this is no different here. But Barracuda, like I said, we're putting drones on the water too, carrying on the legacy of the coal bombing, I suppose. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. Another great show this Friday. Like I said, if you like what you're getting, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a show. We got a lot of good events coming up as mentioned, so don't forget we got Rooster Recon coming up. That's September 6th. We're looking to demystify what radio is and what it isn't. This is an opportunity to craft tactical applications or just feed your general curiosity. And don't forget, we got slaps to give out, got raffles to do, some t-shirts to give away. I don't know if you guys saw this one here, but do you even comms, bro? Do you even comms, bro? That should be the shirt at the gym, because honestly, a lot of people like to talk about radios and have a radio game, but if you don't have a shirt or training by Red Rooster Guerilla, you're missing out. Not only do we cover their equipment and how to turn it on and off and stuff like that, but we also show you how to use it and tactically employ it. So you're not going to get tactics on YouTube and things like that. You're going to get that in a class with trained professionals. People have done this. People have experience in it. So again, that's why I'm saying, come check us out. If you have general curiosity in the class, just come to Rooster Recon, see what it's about, see what we're talking about, and join us for some fun. It's going to be a great time. We're going to spend some hours in the park and just, chat about radio stuff, do some radio stuff, and give away cool stuff, cool prizes. All right, man, like I said, this is a fun project, and if you stuck along this far with me, it's hugely appreciated. Like, nobody I thought would ever follow some tiny little obscure channel on YouTube, but like I see the comments there, the appreciation's growing, the audience is growing, the subscribers are growing, so apparently we're doing something right. So again, thanks for watching. We're not going to do a show next week. It's Labor Day weekend, so enjoy your time off, enjoy the family, friends, go camping, do whatever it is you do for Labor Day. We'll come back on the following Friday to give you all the OSINT related news, drone related topics, and tech related subjects that you want to hear more about. I love you all. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'm out.